So when you apply for an adult use cannabis business application, it's likely going to ask you, hey, what are your standard operating procedures, or SOPs for short? And these are a critical factor in helping your license application actually get approved, as well as a key to making sure that your cannabis business runs smoothly. They help to demonstrate your business knowledge and your operations expertise to the governing bodies, but also it gives you a detailed plan to execute against as your cannabis business gets up and rolling. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through some of the basic standard operating procedures and the considerations for cannabis businesses. But before I do, I need to let you know that the information contained in this video is meant for guidance purposes only and not as professional legal or tax advice. Further, it does not give any personalized legal, tax, investment, or business advice in general. So with that out of the way, let's hop right in. First, what are standard operating procedures? Well, they're a comprehensive and detailed list of tasks and procedures and policies that are written down and compiled to guide employees in executing and performing their assigned tasks and duties. It's basically a how-to for everything in your business. And outlining your SOPs can help both ensure compliance in the internal and external policies and regulations. And where it concerns cannabis businesses, is SOPs provide very detailed and step-by-step instructions about how tasks are supposed to be performed and monitored. And by executing these procedures, it will help your business stay compliant with both local and state laws and regulations, all right? This is very, very critical for the long-term success of your business. Now, because the cannabis industry is a tightly regulated industry, standard operating procedures will integrate mandated policies, procedures, and protocols into daily life in a way that will enable employees to perform their jobs effectively. You know, SOPs can cut down on bookkeeping mistakes, they help you prevent fraud, and it keeps your business running smoothly for the main reason that you can focus on giving a better customer experience or end user experience or creating a better product, depending on the vertical that you're in. So what we're going to talk about in this video is mostly about California-based companies, all right? But this will likely transfer to any state in the country and likely anywhere in the world, because most of these states on the east side are looking at the west, looking at California on how to get some input in structuring their legislation around SOPs, protocols, and any other mandates for cannabis businesses. So pay close attention, especially if you're in California and even if you're not. So what goes into the standard operating procedures for a cannabis company? Well, some things and some areas to look into are security, quality assurance, packaging, labeling, cash handling, track and trace, storage of products, storage of records, inventory control, and finally testing of the final product. Now, you may find that there's some overlap when it comes to outlining procedures and intersections between these different aspects of your business, but it's all good. It has to be done this way. And likewise, some of these areas may not even apply to your cannabis business and your part in the industry. So just watch it, understand it, and see maybe it might help frame some of the other things for your business. Now, let's hop into some examples to show you how detailed your operations plan should be when it comes to meeting application requirements. First, let's talk about security. Now, proving your business is properly secure isn't just important for the actual business application, right? Cannabis companies deal with A, tons of cash, and B, a very, very valuable product, right? So, what we've seen is that some of the cannabis clients that we have are dealing with $250,000, $350,000 in cold hard cash every month. And that's a lot of cash. So the potential for diversion, theft, loss, and anything else related to any illegal activities is a pressing concern for every governing body looking at this situation here. It should be for you too, right? So, make sure you're doing these security procedures to keep your employees, your business, your cash, and your products safe. The security section of your SOPs will actually include how your business will actually build out the facility to ensure optimal security and safety of your employees, your products, as well as the neighboring community. You'll need to include strict protocols for the type of security mechanisms and equipment that you're going to actually put on there to meet or exceed local requirements. And I would highly suggest try to exceed the requirements, because sometimes, and more common than you think it is, they will inch up these requirements over time. So consider the following things, what type of alarms do you need to have? What kind of surveillance equipment do you need to have? What about lighting from the outside and the inside, as well as a perimeter fence to actually secure the grounds? Think about record keeping to secure and prevent any kind of fraud. What security personnel are going to be there? Is there going to be armed guards? How many? Where are they at? What are they facing? What are their duties? As well as ingress and egress security, employee identification, and where are your limited access areas, and how do you actually make sure they stay limited access? The next section of SOPs is quality assurance and testing, all right? So California is one state with rigorous requirements to ensure that cannabis goods and products are of the highest integrity of all. So one of the main goals of eradicating the cannabis black market is to prevent any unregulated, poor quality products to cause any medical issues that could put the public at risk. So the legal cannabis market demands strictly that your goods and products be tested by licensed cannabis testing facilities. You must also implement rigid protocols to maintain the integrity of that testing and the quality of your goods and products internally prior to or after third-party cannabis testing. You don't want to have a way where you can go out and get it tested and then someone could easily swap it out without you knowing and selling subpar goods to the public. Your SOP for QA and testing should consider the following, depending on your role in the cannabis industry, but I'm going to cover all of these considerations here and just pick what works for you. So environmental controls of your storage, the cultivation and manufacturing of your products. What are the sanitation measures to ensure the cleanliness and prevent degradation and contamination of your products? How are you actually going to inspect inbound and outbound shipments of the goods and products, and who's going to actually be doing it? And lastly, how are you inspecting to make sure that the labeling and packaging is in compliance with federal regulations? Detail all of these and write down exactly step by step how this is done. Now let me break down the packaging and labeling a little bit more, because in California we have strict requirements on packaging and labeling of cannabis goods and products to ensure that patients and consumers alike are very, very well informed. Now, packaging is also regarded as a top priority in order to ensure that minors, especially children, will not be able to gain access to these products, all right? So in short, your SOP in regards to packaging needs to meet these high-level requirements for the state of California. So basically, all packaging for edibles must be opaque, all right? Next, you must package your finished cannabis products prior to transferring them to the distributor. Distributors cannot package them for you, and the packaging must protect the product from contamination, ensure that the product is child resistant. The packaging, kids can't just flip it open and grab a joint, right? Very important for that. Ensuring your SOPs have this aspect earmarked is important to safeguard the youth as well as meet state and local requirements. This is not just something that's pulled out of the air. So here are some further details on child-resistant packaging, okay? Products cannot be packaged to look like non-cannabis foods. Further, the product should have some tamper-evident packaging if applicable, all right? This means that the customer should be, have easy understanding to see if the product has been damaged, opened, or tampered with, okay? If a package is intended for multiple uses, then it has to be easily resealable. Next, you must use a universal symbol for the manufactured products of cannabis that are, have cannabis in them, and it must be black. All right, although you can alter the size, the color cannot be altered. So make sure your SOP is very clear on your packaging requirements. You should also include provisions that are stating, how often the goods will be labeled and how often they'll be packaged, who's going to pack them and label them, and when the labels and packages are checked for accuracy, at what steps of the process, and who, what company or what person is going to be providing the label and the packaging for your business. Next, let's talk about track and trace plus inventory control. So Track and trace is a state-mandated technological protocol that, in theory, would be able to pinpoint and identify where cannabis goods and products are in real time at any time. And this is the crutch that the industry depends on to maintain control over every process from seed or clone to sale. So, however, look, at this time of the recording I'm making this video here, statewide track and trace systems have yet to be actually fully implemented, and they're still working out things. So since things are not actually fully implemented, cannabis businesses therefore must rely heavily upon internal inventory management and outline strict procedures for handling the storage of cannabis goods and products, such as, things like where are cannabis goods and products stored, how are they put into and removed from storage, and how are they received and delivered. These are all important processes that have to be identified in your SOPs. My big suggestion would be to check with the local authorities to see if they have any off-the-shelf SOPs that should be implemented in this section as well, because this is one of the sticking points where they really are looking at consumer safety, and they may have already adopted some kind of SOPs that you need to put in there. These are called like boilerplate or basic SOPs. Next, let's talk about the storage of records and of products. So transparency is critical in this industry. Like I said, it's extremely regulated, and state and local regulators demand that you be transparent and provide them with whatever they ask because they need you to play within the bounds of the law. So this requires an SOP for keeping comprehensive records and how to store and secure in places that, where they're at, and how do you restrict and keep limited access to these records. So every cannabis business must be able to produce original and unaltered records to state and local authorities whenever they are requested. So your SOP should answer the following questions. Where should these records be stored? Who will have the access to them? How long will they actually be kept? And what kind of information will be kept? And is there like a table of like how long, and there's like a waterfall, this one's held for this amount of time and this one for this amount of time, and blah, 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 all the way down, detailing all types of records. As for product storage, where and how products are stored is just as important as preserving its quality, as well as preventing any diversion, theft, or loss of the products. So you should detail how often are these rooms or places or buildings actually accessed, and who actually has access to them. I know it sounds like a little bit of overkill, but this is just how things need to be done for the sake of transparency and responsibility in the cannabis industry. And many other highly regulated industries such as banking and healthcare have to go through very high levels of scrutiny just like cannabis. So it's not unique to just this line of business. All right, so last but not least, we need to talk about cash handling, right? You need to prevent fraud with a clear SOP that deals with cash handling procedures. So like any other business that deals with a lot of cash, it's not uncommon that cash is actually diverted, stolen, lost, I don't know where it went, or used for other illegal activities. So that's why they stress cash handling practices that have very strict procedures that you must stick to, okay? You need to detail things like where the cash is going to be kept, how is it actually going to be counted, and who is going to count it. Will the business actually get a bank account? Where and with who? How will the cash actually be transported to and from the bank? And where will the safe actually be located? How many security measures are between a person and the actual safe? And what kind of safe is actually going to be used? Now, hopefully this video has brought you some value and gave you some context around standard operating procedures for cannabis-based businesses. So it's a lot of writing, it's a lot of work, it's a lot to get together. So if you need any help in creating standard operating procedures for your cannabis business, then please get in touch with GreenGrowth CPAs by reaching out to us via our website at greengrowthcpas.com, or give us a call at 800-674-9050. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.